What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin.
And together we're last week's album. We're bringing you the only reviews with two different views. And this week we're talking about Rangers and Valentines by Trapper Schoepp. And we're asking the big question, how does Trapper Schoepp's Rangers and Valentines mix roots and rock? Cheers, Kevin, everyone at home.
Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Trapper Schoepp is a singer-songwriter who was born in Minnesota but is based in Wisconsin. He was previously in a band called Trapper Schoepp and the Shades. They released an album called Run Engine Run in 2012. Rangers and Valentines was produced by Pop Polymath and Ray Contours member Brandon Benson at his recording studio in Nashville. Trapper had the help of a number of musicians on this album, including his own brother, Tanner Schoepp, Steve Selvage from the Hold Steady, John Davis from Superdrag, and the McCrary sisters. He also had the help of one comedian, Mark Maron, on backing vocals and lead guitar. And you can tell Maron's lead guitar because it sounds a lot funnier than all the others.
Nice. I actually think the Shades play on this album too, Derek.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He can't lose the Shades entirely because sometimes it's sunny out. Let's talk about what it sounds like. Kevin, what'd you think?
Derek, I thought this album sounds like Wilco and Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats get trapped in the woods together.
I think Trapper Schoepp sounds like Conor Oberst, Bob Dylan, and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band Snapchatting the goings-ons of a nondescript Midwestern karaoke bar. Let's talk about some highlights. Kevin, what'd you think?
Track-wise, Derek, I liked Ogallala for Jonny and Dream. Ogallala is this sort of sugary sweet road ballad. It's got this country lilt that also meets a little 50s doo-wop for an interesting mix. For Jonny is a folk ballad lamenting an alcoholic's battle with addiction. And I liked it because it could have easily been just a guitar-only tune, but they also add piano, percussion, and pedal steel, and a few other instruments, but all tastefully so. None of it really takes the lead or takes the focus away from the song. And then finally, Dream was this really cool mix of rock, folk, and even some Latin that I thought ended the record on a really high note. What about you?
Really liked Ogallala, but I actually had a few other tracks that were highlights for me. Ballad of Olof Johnson, this great burn-in country tune. One thing that really stood out to me in the chorus was this deliberate break and long falsetto vocal note that really kind of mirrored the storyline, the wind howling at that point. Settlin or Sleepin Around was this pop rock electric guitars, rumbling bass guitar, cowbell, prominent cowbell, catchy vocal melody and lyrics about hooking up. And finally, Last Cowboy, similar to For Jonny's mentioned earlier, this one started out with an understatedly sleepy strummed acoustic guitar, but piano, drums, electric, and bass guitars really pick up the two-step and pace later. So any lowlights stand out to you?
Yeah, there are actually two, one of which you mentioned, Settlin or Sleepin Around, and also Mono Part 2. They're both big and fun and clever. I just thought they were a little too surface level, lyrically and musically. They just didn't have much teeth or meaning that I could really grab onto.
I think Settlin or Sleepin Around is supposed to be kind of superficial. Swipe right, hook up mentality or whatever is being put on blast here. And so I think the song itself being somewhat seemingly superficial is in response to that whole notion itself.
Touche. You kind of just blew my mind that maybe that was intentional.
So let's talk about the overall rating and asking the big question. How does Trapper Schoepp's Rangers and Valentines mix roots and rock? Kevin, you want to start us off?
Sure. I will start with the question. I think he mixes roots and rock really, really well and really adeptly. I think he's very well versed in many genres, just not just those two, and he brings it all together really nicely. There's also top-notch production on this record against these sort of roadhouse ramble vibes that create this really unique soul, country, roots rock sound. I thought the lyrics were particularly great, really good mix of clever wit, but also emotional depth for the most part. There's plenty of variety. There's something here for everyone. But I also really liked how the songs were character studies, and the characters in each song kind of create this theme of perseverance throughout the album. And after Derek, we saw him live at South by, he kind of played solo. This record was much bigger and more ambitious than I expected. So that was a really nice surprise. And I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. He does mix a little bit of everything in there. Dug the songwriting as well. Lyrics, very strong. Sense of humor I thought was great. And really just exhibited a number of different sounds, not just country or rock or anything in between, just a lot of different sounds. And it all felt very comfortable. So that being said, I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. So with Kevin's 3, that's combined 7 out of 10. So go seek out Rangers and Valentines by Trapper Schoepp. Thanks for joining us here at Last Week's Album. Don't forget to subscribe here on the YouTube channel or the podcast. And join us again next time at Last Week's Album. We're bringing you the only reviews with 2 different views. As always, I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin.
Cheers, guys.